Captain Jake Morrison had survived 3 galactic wars, countless alien encounters, and diplomatic missions that would have broken lesser men. None of that prepared him for walking into the wrong cantina on Vega 7 and having a plasma blaster pointed directly at his chest. The woman holding the weapon was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin held a faint blue luminescence, and her eyes glowed with an inner fire that seemed to pierce straight through his soul. She wore the ceremonial armor of the Alterian Royal Guard, though Jake had never heard of humans serving in such positions. "You are late," she said, her voice carrying the musical quality common to Alterian speech patterns. Jake raised his hands slowly, keeping his movements deliberate and non-threatening. "I think you have me confused with someone else, miss." Her grip tightened on the blaster. "Do not play games with me, human. The marriage contract was signed by your government 3 cycles ago. You are Jake Morrison of Earth, assigned to fulfill the alliance agreement between our worlds." The pieces clicked together in Jake's mind, like a malfunctioning hyperdrive finally engaging. He had heard whispers about backdoor diplomatic deals, about Earth's desperate need for Alterian crystal technology to power their failing defense grid. The war with the hegemony had left humanity's resources stretched thin, and the Alterians possessed the most advanced energy sources in known space. "There must be some mistake," Jake said carefully. "I'm just a cargo pilot making routine deliveries." The woman stepped closer, her blaster never wavering. "Your identification confirms you are Captain Jake Morrison, decorated veteran of the Terran Defense Force. The genetic markers match those provided by your diplomatic corps." Jake's mind raced. His government had used his DNA profile for the marriage contract without his knowledge or consent. It was a political arrangement designed to secure Alterian support, and he had been selected as an expendable asset. "What's your name?" he asked, trying to buy time while he processed this impossible situation. "I am Princess Luna of the Alterian Throne Worlds. Our marriage will unite our species in common cause against the hegemony threat." Luna lowered her weapon slightly, studying Jake's face with intense curiosity. "You truly did not know of this arrangement?" "Not a clue," Jake admitted, "though I'm starting to understand why my last 3 mission assignments brought me progressively closer to Alterian space." The princess holstered her blaster entirely and moved to a nearby table where official documents lay scattered. "The contract stipulates that our union must be consummated within 7 standard days or the alliance becomes void. My people need Earth's military expertise and manufacturing capabilities. Your people need our energy technology to survive the coming war." Jake approached the table and examined the documents. The legal language was dense, but the implications were clear. Earth's government had essentially sold him into an arranged marriage to secure a military alliance. What surprised him was that the terms seemed remarkably favorable to both parties. The Alterians would provide complete crystal technology transfers, he read aloud, including the theoretical frameworks for dimensional folding and temporal manipulation. Luna nodded. "Our scientists have developed these technologies over millennia. Combined with human innovation and adaptability, we could create defenses that would make both our worlds impregnable." Jake looked up from the documents to study the princess more carefully. Despite the unusual circumstances of their meeting, he found himself impressed by her directness and obvious intelligence. Her earlier hostility seemed to stem from frustration rather than genuine anger. "You were expecting someone different," he observed. "I was expecting a career diplomat or military officer who would understand the political necessities involved. Instead, I find a cargo pilot who appears to have been deceived by his own government. What happens if I refuse?" Jake asked. Luna's expression grew somber. "The hegemony fleet will reach Earth within 2 years. Without Alterian crystal shields, your homeworld's defenses will fall within weeks. My people will retreat to our core systems and wait for the storm to pass. The weight of responsibility settled on Jake's shoulders like a familiar burden. He had spent his entire adult life serving humanity's interests, often at great personal cost. This situation was simply another variation on the same theme. "And if I agree?" he asked. "You would become prince consort of the Altyrian throne worlds. Our marriage would be political in nature, but Altyrian law grants both parties the right to personal autonomy within the Union. You would retain your human identity and customs, while gaining access to technologies beyond your current understanding." Jake walked to the cantina's viewport and stared out at the bustling spaceport beyond. Ships from dozens of different worlds moved through the traffic patterns, each representing different cultures and ways of life that had somehow found ways to coexist in the galaxy's complex political landscape. "This isn't exactly how I imagined my life would go," he said finally. Luna joined him at the viewport. "Nor I. I had planned to dedicate my life to scientific research rather than political marriage. But sometimes individual desires must yield to greater necessities." Jake turned to face her directly. "What kind of person are you, Princess? Beyond the political requirements and diplomatic protocols." A slight smile crossed Luna's features, the first genuine expression he had seen from her. "I am someone who believes that knowledge should be shared rather than hoarded. I think that different species can learn from each other if they approach their differences with curiosity rather than fear. I also believe that duty and personal happiness need not be mutually exclusive. That's a remarkably human perspective for an alien princess," Jake observed. "Perhaps that is why our species were chosen for this alliance," Luna replied. "We may be more compatible than either of our governments realized." Jake extended his hand in the traditional human gesture of agreement. "Princess Luna of Alteria, I accept your proposal of marriage, with the understanding that we'll figure out the personal aspects as we go along." Luna clasped his hand with both of hers, and Jake felt a slight tingle of energy pass between them. "Captain Jake Morrison of Earth, I accept your acceptance. May our union bring peace and prosperity to both our worlds." As they stood together in the cantina, surrounded by the everyday bustle of interstellar commerce, Jake realized that this unexpected turn in his life might actually represent an opportunity rather than a sacrifice. The woman beside him possessed intelligence, strength, and a sense of purpose that commanded respect. If their marriage could truly prevent a war while advancing both their species' interests, perhaps arranged marriages weren't necessarily the disasters he had always assumed them to be. The future stretched ahead of them, uncertain but filled with unprecedented possibilities for both their worlds.